Well, hi, this is Stuart and I want to welcome you to this month's educational video. Last month, you'll recall, we spoke about the great book, The Millionaire Next Door, the enlightening findings of America's millionaires. Now, this is people with a net worth of between $1 and $10 million. Now, I offer that to you up front because a gentleman, I spoke to many people about that video during the month in my travels around the country, and one gentleman said, Stuart, what do you mean wealthy? Well, in the book, they concentrated on surveying people between $1 and $10 million. 80% of those people were first-time millionaires, self-generated in their own lifetime, and hence why the authors concentrated on this group. We're not talking about the ultra-elite or the super wealthy. We're talking about a means of wealth that most people can reasonably attain in their lifetime if they have the right information. So, last week I also gave you from the book the formula to determine how wealthy you are right now, and also the 7 factors that they've found that determines the difference between the wealthy and the not so wealthy. Now keep in mind, this is part 1, part 2 actually, of an 8-part video series. If you didn't check out the video last week, I'm going to encourage you to go and do that now or shortly, because when all these 8 pieces are together, you'll get the whole picture and get a lot more traction if you want to change or improve things for you financially. Now, last week I also asked you the question, do you know anyone that wants to look rich rather than be rich? In fact, most of society wants to look rich rather than be rich. It's easy to buy beautiful cars on finance, it's easy to buy beautiful clothes on finance, and it's beautiful to wear and have the right labels in everything that you do. Most of this is done on expensive finance. Now, here's an interesting thing, many of the world's companies now earn more money on the finance they give you for their products than the finance themselves. You know, the decade of buy now, 3 years interest free and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, well, the fine print of the interest rates like 16, 18% and above smashes a lot of people, and they're making a fortune on the money, not the product. Product's long gone. So here's the thing, it's not how much you earn, it's what you do with it. We'll get to that in a moment. The other interesting thing the authors of the book found in particular was that their perceptions of who these wealthy were way misguided. In fact, in the group sessions and the interviews they had, they got the finest caviars, 3 sorts of caviar. They got vintage champagne, and what actually showed up was quite a shock to them. One gentleman, they called him Mr. Bud, walked in and said, listen, none of this fancy stuff. He said, I drink scotch and beer, 2 types of beer, Budweiser and free. To this point, they called him Mr. Bud, and they quickly got the impression, or the truth, that their perception of who these wealthy would be was completely different to the reality of it. Most of them were down-to-earth business owners, had been in the same business for a long time, married to the same partner, quite what you would call a boring story, but what they certainly found out was that appearances mean very little. Now, I've got some personal stories about that. One just recently at an event in Brisbane in Australia. I had a gentleman turn up to that event. Now these, as you know, are business property seminars, and he turns up in thongs and stubbies. Queensland's a bit warmer, so somewhat the norm at times, but also after 2 days, this guy was larger than life. After 2 days he rocks up to me and goes, Stuart, I own a lot of land, a place called Gladstone. He goes, I'm worth over $180 million. Now, appearances and reality can be 2 different things. There's not a lot that shocks me or surprises me these days, but that certainly was interesting. I want to give you another story. Many of you know I used to own a gym for 12 years. A gentleman there who was a very good car salesman. I used to talk to all the members, and he was a top car salesman in his dealership. This is over 15 years ago. He used to earn $120,000, and he confessed to me that year he didn't have a single cent to show for it. He'd gone to work for 52 weeks a year, was the top salesman, and didn't have a cent left from $120,000. Now, this was a grown man who later confessed to me that in fact his money now goes to his mother. She banks it. He does not have access to his own bank accounts, and she gives him $200 a week in which to live on. Such poor were his habits financially. Now contrast that with his receptionist. She was earning $35,000 a year at the time, and she saved 15% of her income week in, week out. At the end of the year, she had over $5,000 saved, and this gentleman who earned 3 times what she earned didn't have a cent to her name. After 12 months, she was closer towards wealth than he was. Remember, it's not how much you earn, it's what you do with it. Very important concept. Now, if you're going to be one of these wealthy, there's a couple of extra kickers I think I'd like to impart with you right now But I want to share with you another question I asked one of my crew members lately, and I said to her this question. I said, caught her off guard a bit, and I said, so do you want to get rich wealthy? Oh, sorry, do you want to get rich fast or slow? She goes, fast. I said, no. She looked at me kind of funny and said, slow? I said, no. She looked at me real kind of puzzled, and then the penny dropped. She goes, both? And I said, yes, you want to get rich both fast and slow. That way, if you don't make it fast, you're still going to get rich anyway, and we're just going to do it the slow way. Now, if you're going to do it the slow way, you're going to need to understand this first law that I've written up here. They live within their means. So there were 7 factors. Factor number 1 I've written up here is that they live within their means. That means they spend less than they earn. Now, they went on and asked 3 extra questions of these millionaires, which I think are very insightful. They said to them, were your parents frugal? Most of them said yes. They said to them, are you frugal? Most of them said yes. And they said, is your spouse or life partner frugal? Most of them said yes. So some of you may need to look at your spouse or life partners with answer to that question. But if you're going to make it, you probably need to answer yes to both of those questions. People need to be frugal, that is smart, with their wealth, their money. They need to live within their means. Now, interesting thing in all the studies I've seen done about what attracts men and women to their prospective partners, always in the top 5 responses is that they are smart with their money. There you go. It's not the volume of money, it's the fact that they're smart with their money. That is an aphrodisiac as well. So, that's it for this week. Factor number 1, they live within their means. I'll see you next month for the next lesson. Until then, have a great time. This is Stuart.